Thanks, Kenzie. Today we're for SEO Brunch 10-minute audit. We're going to be doing Mountain Littles, a baby and kids boutique based out of Canmore, Alberta. And as Kenzie said, my name is Michael McMillan. I'm the principal SEO consultant for McMillan Search. If you want to have a chat about SEO, or you just want to build your network with other SEOs, please feel free to add me on LinkedIn. And today, when we're talking, I really love the Maslow's hierarchy of SEO needs, because it's really helping us kind of group and categorize things and help people understand aspects of SEO and where they kind of sit. Today, we're moving up. Usually, we've been talking a lot about compelling content, the second level here. Today, when we're going to be chatting, there's a few little minor things, but what we're seeing a really big opportunity for is right up here, title, URL, and description. So increasing click-through rate, which tends to lead to higher position. And let me get out of here, and we'll jump into Mountain Littles. So first thing I like to check is branded search. Works out really well because Allison's going to be talking about branded search later. So when you're searching for branded search, and I went through their Mountain Littles Search Console, 36% of your traffic right now is being driven purely by brand traffic. This type of traffic is heavily influenced by brand awareness. There's some things SEO can do, but it's not usually, unless there's a massive problem, there's not a whole lot you can do about brand. But you do want to check in to make sure that things are in great spots. We tend to see spikes from this, from indirect influencers, such as PR, sponsorships, other similar type sources. With that in mind, always remember it's good practice to review what shows and when users are searching, what shows up for your brand. So we're just going to run a query here, Mountain Littles. We're going to keep off the Canmore part at first. Now, we are seeing mountainlittles.com coming up top, which is great. But if you're doing this branded search and say you're a brick and mortar business, you're not necessarily competing nationally, you may want to add a geo modifier at the end, especially if you're operating outside that geographical region. We're located in Nova Scotia. These guys are located in Canmore. So by adding Canmore on to the end there, we can really ensure that we're going to get the type of results that we would expect to see from somebody in Canmore searching for this, or in that general geographical region. And we're only seeing a few minor things with the branded search. First thing, when we were in Search Console, we noticed that there was traffic being driven to an HTTP URL. That's the insecure version of a URL, and your guys' website is set up to be secure. So what happens, and even when you click on website, you're not even going to see this. It's going to jump right ahead to that secure version. If I paste that back in, you'll see it's HTTPS. But if we were to copy the URL that Google's using in here and paste that in, so I can copy link address, and see it shows up as HTTP:. And it's not really going to affect a lot of your traffic. And actually, this had an interesting, it's just good maintenance to have that switched over to secure. So you're not technically having, you're not providing Google kind of a weird spot where you're coming into the insecure version and then it's redirecting. It's actually kind of helped in a way, because now you can tell all the traffic that is going from Google My Business versus from a regular search result just by looking for the traffic in Search Console that goes HTTP. But we have stronger tactics that we use to segment that traffic, and it's just good housekeeping. We'd update that to secure.
Sounds good.
And pretty straightforward fix, Brian. And Brian's joining us from on his phone right now. What I would recommend we do is, so you can segment this traffic in Search Console, because it's really helpful to know where this traffic's coming from. We like to use UTM tracking parameters. And if you're familiar with paid ads, you'll see these types of results as well. The one we like to use, it just says UTM source equals Google hyphen GMB, GMB standing for Google My Business. The medium is equal to organic. So that segments it in analytics to be organic traffic. Even though this traffic does tend to be segmented as organic, this will just ensure that all this type of traffic gets segmented as organic. And then you can segment that out from your regular organic traffic, so you can see your Google My Business. And then we switch the campaign to GMB. So much like you'd see your campaign traffic in analytics, you can drop down to GMB to see how this traffic's performing. And it doesn't change a whole lot from a user standpoint. They're still going to get to the same spot, but it's also really helpful for, if we go back to your main search results here, to use that same, use that same, there we go, tracking parameter on all of your products as well. So you can really segment that traffic out. You're able to, these products are, this is a great spot. It's right in your branded search. You could really highlight what you're already selling. Top brands such as Jackson Lennon and Phil and Ted's right in the top. People will know kind of the quality of product that you guys are offering. And then you can really segment this out in analytics by just making this part of the process. As you add a product, put that UTM tracking parameter at the bottom, or sorry, at the end of the URL, not the bottom. And you can do the same thing with your posts. So when you get into that view offer, as people click through to redeem online, they would get that tracking parameter as well. So you can really just, you can segment all this traffic out in a big chunk, but you can also break it down a little bit more in analytics. Just helps you make more informed decisions in the future. If you see something's performing, you know it's coming from, if it's coming from Google My Business, let's lean into Google My Business. If it's coming into regular organic results, let's lean into organic results. And that was all we were really seeing for branded traffic. And what we have found, usually branded traffic, you want to make sure things are okay, but it's not going to be the real big driver. And things outside of SEO are really what are driving that traffic. Where the big opportunity lies with a lot of companies is with your non-branded traffic. So we went into Search Console, and with Search Console, you can segment. You've got your site set up in a great way where if you look up this URL, I'll just paste it in here. I won't log into your Search Console. But if you segment your analytics, or sorry, your Search Console traffic down for these products, you can, all your products are following this URL structure. You can see all your products in one go, and then you can look for what we like to look for striking distance. We're not seeing one that's necessarily performing. If you're not familiar with striking distance, in our experience, those first 3 positions in Google are the real converters. They're the ones, if you're there, you know, moving up a spot's going to be great, but if you can stay in the top 3, you're still going to get a lot of traffic from that. A lot of people don't go past those top 3 unless it's a really heavy research kind of project where they might be going into first, second page. But what we have found is the bottom of first page, so that 4th position down to the bottom and even onto the second page, all the signals are there for Google. It's just a matter of drawing some more attention and getting people's eyes on things. So when we went through and Search Console and looked for things, we found you were sitting in 11th position. You averaged that position for flushable cloth diaper liners. So we were going to use this one for an example. And when first thing we want to confirm, so in Search Console, it was saying it had gotten, I think, 1 click, but it had quite a bit of visibility. And we like to use a tool. It's called, Keyword Surfer, and it's a Chrome extension. And it can quickly tell you that there's search volume behind things, and it gives you some other keyword ideas. And it just appends things to your regular searches. So we know there's 30 monthly searches for flushable cloth diaper liners. Which you might not seem like a lot, but the intent's very high right there. So with that in mind, and sitting in 11th position, we're rarely going to see this convert in 11th position, but are there ways we can draw the eye to increase this? Because if it's in 11th position, it's flirting with the bottom of first page. And if there's anything that can draw the eye, or even adding a few additional signals to Google, we'll try to get it up a little bit higher. So the first thing we like to do is review the title and meta description. And if you're not familiar with the title and meta description, it's a way for you to mark up your page so you can tell Google, this is what we would like you to consider for the title would influence this part here, and the description would influence here. Now we are up to the whims of Google. They can completely ignore it. They can fill it in the way they like to. I have found, in my experience, the title tends to stick to what you've defined. Maybe a slight variation of it. The description is really an interesting one. It can be kind of all over the place. So the article, the product we were looking at, I'll bring it up again here. There's this guy. And if you want to see what this would look like in a search result, we can sub this part out with an operator. In this case, site colon. What this will do, give you an example of what this search result looks like. We can also use a tool called SERPsim, which is up there right now. And if you plug in the URL, it can give you an idea of what this would look like in the search results. So with that in mind, we wanted to tighten up this title a little bit and really draw, we wanted to have that keyword that we're ranking for as close to the front as possible. That's one opportunity we're seeing. So let's see here. We can use this SERP sim to kind of play with things as well. So what we're seeing, it's, excuse me for a second, with the title and description. So the brand name, the brand name's very long for you guys. And I would say, you know, even with, maybe not now, but with time, people are probably just going to refer to you guys as Mountain Littles. So I would recommend pulling off that part to start off, because that's just valuable real estate in the title. And you see, we've already freed up a bunch of space. Another opportunity we saw in here, you can shorten pack to PK. I would even do it all lowercase or all uppercase. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. Uppercase is a little bit bigger, and they do base description on, title on pixel width. So we got 100 pack. We would use a pipe instead of that hyphen as a separator, because the pipe, again, we're dealing with pixels. That pipe is just a fraction versus what that hyphen is. So we've already freed up a pile of space here. We've got 100 pack, Mountain Littles. And then the other opportunity we were seeing is using that exact phrase in there. Flushable cloth diaper liners. So if we were going to plug that in here, you can get rid of that hyphen. The other thing I'd mention with the brackets, that tends to draw the eye. A lot of these search results aren't going to have a bracket in there. Anything you can do to draw the eye is going to increase click-through rate. And with time, click-through rate tends to lead to a higher position. And this was specifically to bumpkins, which I know just getting out of, well, we're a little bit out of diapers at this point. We went the cloth diaper route. I know the name bumpkins, so it's got a little bit of weight itself. So I would recommend including that. So with the full title suggestion we've come up here, we've got bumpkins, flushable cloth diapers, in brackets, 100 pack, then that pipe, Mountain Littles. And it's really using almost all the real estate that's available right there. There's no truncation at this point. And it's using that exact phrase, flushable cloth diaper liners in there, which could help with rank as well. The bumpkin thing could help with just from potentially ranking in a secondary position to their own branded results. So you might get 6th or 7th position, or with their brand results on top of it. Yeah, that's what we would recommend with the title. Any questions about that so far, Brian?
No, how do I go in and actually change these titles? Just do it like on the back end of the website?
Yeah, you guys are using Shopify. You should be able to, I would say the branded name, and I'm not 100% familiar with Shopify. If anybody else in the audience has been working in Shopify on a regular basis, I'm assuming they've got ways to update this as a variable level. So say the brand name, you could change that brand name at a variable level so that all products have that at the end. There's probably a spot, I'm more familiar with WordPress, where you can define your separator. And Shopify more than likely probably follows suit with this, but you could change the separator from dash to the pipe. And then on an individual product for product, you should be able to define the title itself. And the title is not the title on the website. It's the back end of things that's going to show up in the search result.
Okay, I can mess around with it, because on each product page, there's like area to add a meta title, and it shows you a description of what it's going to look like on Google.
Perfect. Yeah, that's where you would define it in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And the meta description is another opportunity we saw here. So if we go back to our site colon search here, what you guys have defined, and we can use this tool, serpsim.com, is it's a little too long right now. So it's getting truncated. And it's not like you're going to get penalized for that, but you want to take advantage of this real estate as much as possible. So what we did, we've been playing around with the tool copy.ai, which is an AI robot writer. And it's, I've showed it to a handful of people. Almost everyone I've showed it to is really, really keen on it. So we ran your description through Copy AI here. And not saying you have to go with this one, but there's a free trial for 7 days. I'm still trialing it right now. I think we're going to end up paying for it. It's something like $35 a month, but it's cheaper than keeping a writer on staff, at least for these little one-offs when you're doing descriptions. You can even pick it to be a meta description. And what we did was plug in your current description, and it auto generates. A robot basically creates some descriptions. They're a little bit longer than what we were expecting, so we did a little bit of refinement. We got a handful of them, and if you want to add below, that just kind of leans into the one that you like. And you still need a human eye on this because it does make some assumptions about things. It's still a robot, but it's a great starting point, especially if you're just kind of blocked. And it's really written like somebody who's trained to be a writer would approach this. So using this one, we came up with a description specifically around, where is it? So the description we came up with was a little bit tighter. And what we did, we took what they were doing, we took out aspects of it. We replaced all the ands with an ampersand. That's a good time-saving space. It means exactly the same thing, but you're using about a third of the space. And we have saved time and money with the convenient, eco-friendly alternative. Bumpkin's flushable diaper liners are perfect for cloth diapers and easy to take everywhere. Doesn't get truncated. And I would recommend playing around with that and updating these. And I would lean into these types of products at first, kind of play with what's performing. And if you start to see positions start to increase, start getting more clicks, then you can look at scaling this up for any other products.
Yeah, basically what I did was I think we just opened in November, and there was like 600 products and variants that I had to add. So, and it's my first time ever doing a website. So yeah, I basically just went to the brand's website, copy and pasted descriptions, and moved on to the next one. It was just so much work.
The cool thing about this too is if you use a tool like Copy AI, you can literally plug in their description from the brand website, and it'll rewrite it. So at least you're not completely blatantly copying it, but it'll still be aligned with what they're trying to say as well. And I would prioritize. I would go through your search console, look for the ones that are sitting in striking distance. The bottom of first page, second page. So fourth down to maybe 15th position. And then look to which pages are performing in that respect, and then just pick one, play with it, see if you can get it to perform a little bit better. It starts working, and move on to the next one, and just go like that. I wouldn't worry about something that's not performing, or if you've got a product that sells really well in store that you think you could play with more online and try to increase your e-commerce. That's how I would prioritize things.
That sounds good. Thanks.
No worries. And the last opportunity we're seeing, Shopify does a really good job of marking up things with structured data. But the big opportunity we see with the structured data is right now, there's no reviews on your individual products, and you're a new business. With time, that these will naturally evolve. But if there's any way that you can get reviews happening for the product, so if you've got a system in place where you've got a newsletter, or you're able to reach out without violating any CASA laws or anything like that to people that have bought any of these products and ask if they're happy with it. And if they are, could they leave you a review? And what happens with time with these reviews, because it's already built into Shopify to the best of my knowledge. But if I was to look up, let's see, flushable diaper liners.
I think I have to add an app to get the reviews on.
Okay.
A monthly paid app.
Oh, of course. It will help with the little star ratings. What we found is it increases, let's do it to Bumpkins. If I switch it to actually the brand, everybody else in here's got yeah, there we go. So we got Amazon at the top. It adds about 12% to your search result, and it just really draws the eye. So if, it might be something you just put on your roadmap for down the road. It can be a real changer for click-through rate, especially if it's not as competitive. Right here, you'll see almost everybody's got it, so you're not going to break through the noise in this one. But if you're able to do that with something that's not as busy, it could really help. But other than that, it looks to be the product schema is set up pretty strongly. It looks to be default for Shopify. Doesn't surprise me that they're doing reviews as a paid service. But that's something you can look into for the future to just kind of push things up. So that's the gist of my 10-minute audit. I'm going to pass things over to Matt to go through what he was seeing from a paid side of things.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mike.
No worries, man.
So Brian, I took a quick look at what you were doing, and I think for everyone listening, the context here is that the website itself, the store itself, it's new, it's fairly early days, as Mike kind of mentioned. So I have two main suggestions here, and then kind of maybe some like a roadmap suggestion or something like that I won't get into too much detail on. But the first suggestion I have, which I've included in the notes for you, is when I took a look at your Google Analytics profile, I noticed that you had your e-commerce data turned on and linked. That was great. That's a huge thing that's going to help you with any paid ads down the road, because you'll want to know, how many transactions, how much revenue the ads are generating. That's like the most important part. But the thing you're doing right now, so you're running a little bit of Google Ads, and we chatted kind of before everyone jumped on the call about what you were doing and kind of what your current spend level was and stuff. And you're just kind of dipping your toe in the water to start, and that's fine. But what you're missing right now is there's a link between Google Ads and Google Analytics that basically you just allow them to pass data back and forth between the two platforms. This is very easy to do. If you set up your Google Ads account with the same account that you set up your Google Analytics account, it's as easy as going into Analytics and clicking a few checkboxes, and you're off to the races. And what this will do for you is, as of right now, all Google Analytics is telling you about your ads traffic is that it's coming from Google CPC. That's it. And so from an outsider's perspective, from my perspective, I look at that traffic and I can see, okay, it's generating transactions, it's generating revenue. That's good, but I can't tell anything more about it. All I know is what the landing page is, which is mostly the homepage, and what products people are buying. But we really don't have a lot more information. So what that link will do is it'll give you information like, depending on what you're running in Google Ads right now, it'll tell you what ads people are clicking that are driving traffic, what keywords are triggering those ads. It'll give you some data, some other like kind of demographic and stuff data from Google Ads. Basically, it's just giving you a whole lot more context. And so as you scale up your ads spending, on Google Ads, whether it's search or display or shopping or whatever that is, having that auto linking turned on and having the link between analytics and ads set up is just going to give you a whole lot more data about what exactly is driving results. So as you expand your ads effort and as your kind of store matures online, you'll be able to quickly get a sense of, where you should put your marketing dollars in order to drive those sales. And so that's really easy to do. And I've just included in the notes kind of a few, little things about how to get that set up, but it's not too bad, and it's extremely valuable. And like the store is like I said, is very new, so you won't get back data. Unfortunately, it won't pass back data from last month through, but going forward, you'll capture everything, which is great. And the second thing, and this is something where I couldn't see inside your Google Ads account, so I don't think you're currently doing this based on what I could see, but whatever you're doing right now in Google Ads is obviously working, and we chatted a little bit about that, and we talked about how over time you're going to be looking to kind of scale that. But one of the things you could easily do with kind of some things that you have in place already is you could start dipping your toe in the water with Google Shopping campaigns, which you told me you spoke to the Google rep. So I'm sure they've already mentioned this to you. But with Google Shopping campaigns, and you're using Shopify, so your inventory is already linked with your Google Merchant Center. And Mike even showed some screenshots there of your products kind of showing up in search results. And so really all the Google Shopping campaigns do is help, very similar to like a paid search campaign, they help surface those results for when users are searching for something, when they're shopping for something. There's lots of like contextual targeting in there. It just basically helps get your brand and the products that you sell out there. And like any other Google Ads campaign, you can specify audiences, demographics, location obviously being a big one for you. If you want to stick to, the local area around the brick and mortar store, you can start with that. If you want to stick to kind of the region, whether it be city or kind of within driving distance, that makes total sense. If you want to expand it to province-wide or nationwide, because you do have a robust kind of shipping platform already set up, you can absolutely do that. So shopping is a great way to get that started. And there's a few I included in the notes. There's a few different kind of flavors of what Google Shopping campaigns look like. So, you can advertise individual products. You can advertise groups of products called showcases. And another thing you can do, which I'm a little bit less familiar with, but I know that the setup is relatively simple, is shopping campaigns can be set up to help drive traffic to your brick and mortar store. So if folks are in the vicinity of the store, and I think you get to set kind of what that vicinity is, you can set for if they're looking for certain products, either by searching or by shopping, you can surface basically ads that say, hey, this item, this carrier or this car seat or whatever it is available very close to you at the store, and here's the directions, and it's one click to either call the store, go right to the store via directions. So and those work very similar to other Google Ads campaigns where you pay per click. So this is some easy stuff to just get you started. And like we were talking about kind of before everyone joined here, you get to set the budget level. So you can start at a low budget level that you're comfortable with, see how things perform. You also get to choose the products, whether you can choose by category, you can choose by individual products, you get to customize the whole thing. So you don't have to jump in with a massive campaign with your entire inventory straight away. If you want to focus on a particular type of product or a particular brand, you can start there and just inch your way forward as you go. Those are the two kind of main things that I had. Did that surface any questions for you?
No, I just got to go in and figure out how to do it all, I guess. But it's all good information.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. You play around with that stuff, and you've done, from what I can see so far, you've done really well. The Google linking would probably be the priority. You want to get that done as soon as possible, and it takes 5 minutes. So, once you figure out where the menu are, and I linked in your notes where to find that. So getting that done. Okay. Shopping campaigns is a little bit more setup. You've got part of the things done because you already have a merchant center set up. You've already got your product data feeding into that through Shopify, but there's a couple more steps that you have to do to get shopping campaigns on the go, and it can be a bit fiddly in my experience. But once you get it up and running, it's not quite set it and forget it, but it's a little easier. You don't have to generate hundreds of ads for all your products and things like that. You just kind of write a little bit of copy that's a little more generic and boilerplate, and just run those. And they can work really, really well. It depends on the vertical and product and everything. But the last thing that I just wanted to touch on, but I won't go into too much details. I noticed that you have a sign up form on the homepage that comes up for your newsletter. And one thing that you could look into with that is it's through MailChimp, I noticed, and if you could get form tracking set up through whether Google Tag Manager, or you can set up a conversion pixel on the form itself. Having that set up as a conversion goal in analytics will help you a lot because in my experience with e-commerce, one of the best drivers of repeat business through like ads is just hitting your newsletter customers. And so growing that list can be a goal for an advertising campaign, whether it be on you can't see, but Allison's giving you thumbs up. So growing the newsletter list through campaigns, and you can do those types of campaigns on Facebook and Instagram, for example. Newsletter campaigns do really well on that. And then so that can be one goal, is growing that list. But then other things you can do are in the newsletters themselves, you UTM tag those emails that go out to your customers, and then that gets fed into analytics, and you can see who's buying, not who, but you get to see like what emails are driving what purchases in what thing. So it really works really well, and it comes down to just you're just investing effort for sales. There's no paid dollars eventually down the line. So I just wanted to kind of mention that as, again, like maybe a next stage thing to start measuring those newsletter signups. But that's it for me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. For those just joining, and for everybody else, I've put links in the chat for Mountain Littles, as well as Michael and Matt. Now we're going to... Oh, yeah.
I'll just mention quickly, Brian, we'll follow up with an email and the video of this session. So if there's any questions, you can go back and review and get more details on that.
That'd be great, since I'm in my vehicle right now.
And thanks for joining us. I'm just gonna quickly jump back into my slide here, if you don't mind, Kenzie, and then I'll pass it back over to you for introducing Allison. All right.
And much like our guest, everyone else can watch this on YouTube later too.
If anybody's interested, if you're creating content for SEO, we put together a guide on just our practices and general considerations for content in general, but specifically for like creating blog content. But it can be used for creating any type of content on your site. You can go to mcmillansearch.com/guide and download our guide. That'd be great. And if you want to be considered, so we've opened up 10-minute audits to not just be Digital Nova Scotia members. Mountain Littles is out of Alberta and is our first non-DNS member audit. And so we've opened things up. We still give a little more priority to the Digital Nova Scotia members. So if you are a Digital Nova Scotia member, let us know when you add. But if you're interested in 10-minute audit, please go to mcmillansearch.com/SEO Brunch/10-minute audit. I'll get Kenzie to post that in the chat as well, because I'm sure nobody will remember that. And the next SEO brunch will be Monday, March 29th from 12:30 till 2. Hope to see everyone there. And again, there's my LinkedIn profile if anybody's interested in connecting on LinkedIn. And passing it back to you, Kenzie. Thank you, Allison, for your patience. I know this one's going a little bit longer than we expected.